So it's been 96 hours, or about 4 days, since I first got my hands on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6, Samsung's newest iteration of their foldable, flippable smartphone, which is building off the success of their previous Flip 5 by improving upon it in key areas like the cameras, crease, and battery life. In this video, I want to talk to you about some of the new experiences I've had with this Flip 6 after several days of personal use, and share some insight on whether or not the Flip 6 could be the next phone for you. Let's get started. Starting with what has been the most contentious point of this foldable so far, price. At the time of this video, the Galaxy Z Flip 6, which comes in this blue color here, in addition to yellow, gray, mint, and 3 other Samsung exclusive colors found on Samsung's website, totaling the tally to 7 different colors, packed with 256 gigabytes of storage and 12 gigabytes of RAM, retails for $1,100, but as always, rarely anyone is paying this full price after factoring in Samsung's usual enhanced trade-in values, freebies such as doubling the storage to 512 gigabytes, and sweetening the deal a bit by offering some discounts on their other releases if you bundle in some Buds 3 or a Watch 7 or Watch Ultra. So make sure to check out the links in the description whenever you wish to take advantage of all these incentives. In exchange for the price you end up paying, you are getting a now familiar 1080p 120Hz refresh rate AMOLED folding display, but with an increased brightness of 2600 nits for excellent outdoor viewing, a beefier battery in a form factor that doesn't feel any larger or thicker, a par for the course yet already appreciated processor bump, an updated design and form factor that puts this in line visually with Samsung's S24 smartphone lineup, and more notably, above all else, to my surprise, is the enhancements made to the crease, or lack thereof, because while I know I'm at risk for getting flamed because this is a 1-week-old folding phone and I am comparing it to my Flip 5 with 1 year of folding under its belt, after using every Flip since its original release, I'm confident in saying that the crease has been drastically reduced, not only from a visual perspective, but more importantly from a physical perspective, as the indentation at the area of the crease is something I noticed and felt every single time I used my Flip 5 for the past year, whereas on this Flip 6, I have barely noticed it, so much to the point where there have been moments in this first week when I forgot I was even using a folding phone, but rather one of my S24 devices. Now, obviously, we are still working with a flexible display here, which overall does have a different feel to it than your conventional slab smartphone glass. In a good way, I'll add. The new squared-off design, premium feel in the hand, and very much less noticeable crease now has me sometimes forgetting I am even using a folding phone when on the inner display, and while for the record, the crease never bothered me enough to shy away from purchasing and using these phones, I do now understand more than ever why people are so turned off by these creases in the first place, because it can be distracting to see a big crease in the middle of your phone every time you use it, which this was very apparent to me when doing some camera testing in preparation for this video, with the Flip 5 crease piercing through the middle of whatever it is I'm trying to take a picture or video of. And I'm not saying the Flip 6 crease is entirely gone, but visually it looks a lot more manageable in harsher lighting conditions, and above all else, not feeling it every single time I scroll through a feed or use the phone for anything has helped in enhancing everyday interactions with this phone in, again, a form factor that is so fun to use, which the opening and closing experience has also been a positive for me for the most part on this 6 Flip, with the phone opening up much easier than my Flip 4 and slightly easier than my Flip 5 for a point of reference, while of course maintaining the same great flex mode versatility which I've already used several times in my first few days of use. However, the closing of the phone has gotten audibly louder, which is a design choice I'm a bit thrown off by, because I'm not sure why everyone needs to know when I'm closing my phone. Maybe I'm overreacting to this, but here's a quick sound comparison. And while we're on the topic of slight differences, I've also noticed the haptics to be a bit buffed up on this Flip 6. Here's my best attempt to demonstrate the difference. But a difference that has been more noticeable to me are the cameras, as what falls in line with the overlying theme of this video being the Flip is closer to the flagship slabs more than ever, as we now have the Galaxy S24 cameras packed into this compact phone. While I'll mention it now, this is a very enjoyable device to take pictures and videos with, thanks to the more narrow nature of the phone, and the now more squared off sidings give you the confidence that you're not going to drop your expensive Flip, at least that's what I hope. But onto what you guys are really here for, the the comparisons, we now have a 50 megapixel primary lens on this Flip 6 compared to the 12 megapixel on the Flip 5, and as expected, if you pixel peep on any photo you take on this 50 megapixel mode, you will immediately see how much more detail is captured in all of your everyday photos. And while I'm usually not one for selfies, it's safe to say this now just became the best phone for taking high quality selfies. Regardless of which way your camera is facing, the overall color presentation from these Flip 6 cameras seem to be a lot more balanced than what we've seen historically from Samsung as far as their often oversaturated pictures. So overall, I'd say the cameras are improved in ways other than just megapixel counts, which is nice, as low light performance has also received a facelift, as I got this beautiful sunset shot the other night. 4K 60 video comes out super smooth on this phone. We also for the first time now have the ability to film in 4K 60 in this ultra wide camera, so love the added versatility here. And something else that goes a long way on this Flip 6 is the battery life. With the new 4,000 milliamp hour capacity, I am happy to report that I can get up to 8 hours of screen on time in my regular use of this phone over the course of 2 days. So overall, I'd say there really isn't a compromise to battery when opting for this phone. However, opting for Samsung's official cases to go with this phone is a bit underwhelming for me personally, charging $40 and upwards for minimal protection, lack of functionality compared to the new Fold 6 cases, which provide way more functionality with stands and grips, and most notably a lack of good hinge protection. Now, if you're looking for something more protective than Samsung's options, then Spigen, who's the sponsor of this video, has you covered with their Tough Armor Pro and Ultra Hybrid Pro case options for this Flip 6, which after using these for a few days, I can already tell that they have protection in mind at the forefront while still having a great feel in the hand, in addition to a price point that feels like a better use of your hard-earned dollars. After reviewing all of the Samsung case options and then trying these, I can personally attest to these having way more peace of mind, and the Tough Armor Pro also offers a sturdy kickstand, which is perfect for propping the Flip up at a moment's notice. Spigen has been designing and selling cases for the Samsung Fold and Flip since the first generation, and their reputation has stood the test of time, with many people, myself included, always eager to see what they come out with. And this year is no different, as they have protective options for everything Samsung just announced, including the Buds 3 and Watch Ultra, and of course the Fold 6, in addition to screen protectors for your cover display. So check out their cases and accessories on Amazon. Use code SHANE15OFF to get 15% off your order when you bundle 2 or more items until the end of this month, and a huge thanks to Spigen for sponsoring this video. But I will give some points to the new Flip suitcase from Samsung, as it now has LED functionality on the back, which is really cool and promising as long as they continue to release more back plates. But this case also showcases some of the added flair to the cover screen for the 6 Flip, as cover screen wallpapers are now more interactive than ever, with the ability to tap on items on the screen and they can bounce around. The gyroscope in the phone lets you rotate it around for another fun party trick, and everything else that hasn't been showcased up to this point has remained unchanged from last year's Flip 5. We still have 25 watt charging here, which tops you back up to full in a little over an hour. We still have very good and surprisingly loud speakers, whether the phone is opened or closed. There is still no Samsung DeX support available on this Flip, despite now having a vapor chamber, which that is actually another change I forgot to mention. In addition to that, we now have an IP48 dust and water resistance rating on this phone, so actual dust resistance now, which is a first for the Flips. But overall, after 4 days and 2 battery cycles on this new Flip 6, while many will simply look at the increased price tag and look the other way, which is fair, this is certainly far from a cheap phone. I have already been able to notice a lot of refinements made to this 6th Flip after just a few days of use, which tells me a lot of average everyday users out there are also going to notice and appreciate everything new going on with this Flip 6, even if they aren't revolutionary changes from last year's Flip 5. This phone is very close to being on par with my Galaxy S24, with the exception of lacking the 3 times telephoto zoom lens, which means this Flip is still capped to a maximum 10 times digital zoom, which I really wish this Flip at least had 30 times zoom, similar to the S24s, since like I said earlier, I absolutely love using this for photography and videography out and about. But if you can live with this compromise and also a slightly compromised cover display compared to the other foldables coming out on the market, like the new Razr Plus 2024, with a screen covering the entire front of the phone, which I can't believe I barely touched on the outer screen for this video, but again, it has remained relatively unchanged from last year. I love using it for quickly checking texts and emails and for quick tasks during the day, such as turning the lights on and off in the house, and it's nice to have for more simple use cases when you don't need an entire smartphone screen, such as running timers and stopwatches. Overall, I still view it in a way as an oversized smartwatch screen, handy for some tasks, but not handy for everything. 96 hours or 4 days into things so far, I'm very impressed with the Flip 6 initially and happy with everything it offers this time around. Being very close on paper to a Galaxy S24 while being the most enjoyable phone to use currently on the market, this phone has top-of-the-line hardware and software. It certainly shouldn't be slept on, but as always, I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on it down in the description. Please consider subscribing since I will be back for a 1-month review on this, which I plan to compare it to that new Razr Plus 2024 to see which is the best flip phone currently available, at least here in the US. Leave a like on your way out, and thanks so much for watching. Take care.